carpentry work, it's a Muslims. Think of steel fabrication, it's Muslims. Think of a pawn shop, it's Muslims. Butcher shop, it is Muslims. Employment exchanges are full of Muslims and Christians.
When we go to the police station to lodge a complaint, there's already 10 people, the pastor has brought 10 people, including an MLA or a councillor or a neta there to stand by and threaten us not to lodge a complaint.
Like particularly in Northeast, there are some areas which has 9 to 10 million tons of high-grade uranium. Then very high-grade bituminous coals, Assam, Meghalaya, those areas, Arunachal. So they are encroaching in these areas and preventing government agencies from using this.
Because it is more for exchange of money. They get an allowance. There are churches that are being built in all these buses. They get an allowance, including there are also the vote banks.
We can go with the question answer session. Rahul, if you can open the hand raising. So those who are in the audience, I'm mentioning that again, that those who come up for the question, ask the questions in a concise manner. 30 seconds, 1 minute is enough. No need to give too much of a preface. And most importantly, the questions that you ask, do not push for the answer that you would like to hear from them. Rather, listen to the answer they would like to convey. So I'll go to the first questioner. Saxena ji, you can ask.
Yeah, thank you, Ravishankar ji and Satyameva Jayate team. I think awesome discussion. Very enlightening, very informative. I think it's very high. It's high time that we had to be aware about all these things. I have two questions. Am I audible, or is my network bad?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay. So my main question over here is we have been talking about anti-conversion bill, right? The anti-conversion bill should be brought in. And we have been saying that, that there have been lots of cases where demography has already been changed over the period of time. I'm not going to talk from the law, but I want to know from the point that how can we what are the steps we can take to change back the demography? And what are the, let's say in the last 5-6 years, we are seeing one particular area being converted into completely a Muslim place. In the last.
Saxena ji, your voice is breaking up in between.
I think the question is clear, and I think Jerome ji would like to answer that.
And we know that there are certain people coming. Is it still bad?
It's actually breaking in between, but actually we understood the question.
Yeah.
And Jerome ji would like to actually respond to it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for asking that question. I think it would be good for me to answer. The reason being, one of the things what you could do is I also have been part of the election process for the last 8 to 10 years, and I work at the grassroots level. And what I've seen is, because I sit at the booth, either I sit at the booth or at the election at the office booth or polling booth. What I've noticed consistently is this. Consistently, what I've seen in all the elections is this. I'm putting data and numbers in terms of watching who comes to vote. First of all, I'm making a very blatant statement. Ma'am, you like it or don't like it, Hindus don't come to vote. If you don't accept it, this is my numbers. I'm telling you, Hindus don't come to vote. An average voting pattern is around 50 to 60% only, 60 being the highest, 45 to 50%. When I actually sit at constituencies at the election booth, what I find is almost 60 to 70% Hindus don't come to vote. They go on a picnic, they go on a vacation, or they go on a holiday, or they want to watch a movie. Okay, but the minorities, whoever is there, 100% come to vote. 100%. Now look at the numbers. You have, when I'm saying demographic changes, what happens is this. According to my calculations, an average, if there are minorities 30 to 40%, then there is a clear mandate that it is going to be a minority who's going to be voted. Okay, and this is a clear pattern. I am willing to take up this challenge because I've watched the numbers. This is what happens: 30 to 40% of minorities, if they are there, the candidate is going to be anti-Hindu. This is my answer, and that's the first thing you need to do. Let's forget about doing whatever you can. Please ask them to come and vote. They don't come and vote. That's the biggest challenge what I've been watching, and I've been talking to political parties whom I'm associated with.
Esther ji, if you like to add anything to it.
Yeah, that's about the voting part. But I would like to talk about what kind of changes, what other levels we as individuals can work at. So constitutional changes, yes, people like Ashwini ji, then Sai Deepak, and there are so many other people that are working at the national level who have understood the constitution and the anti-Hindu articles that are there right now in our constitution. They have understood that, they are working towards it. But as individuals, as lay people, what are the kind of differences that we can bring about in our local communities? I would say there's a lot. For constitutional changes, there is only one work, which is to make changes to the constitution. But at an individual level, there are several different things. First of all, I would say, be there with a fellow Hindu. And Jerome ji already touched upon that. There is no unity in Hindus. Of course, we don't have strategy, we don't have funding, we don't have human resource, we are not on the same page about so many things. And to top all of it, we just don't come out of our comfort zones. So if we really want to see change in our local communities, changes in our demography, then I think we need to step out of our comfort zones. Yesterday, a video went viral, and this is from UP, where about 16,000 plus madrasas have been counted. And the actual permission is only for 500 madrasas. There are 16,000. So look at the difference in the number. So, but that's not the point I'm making. There is I think a Maulana, also an Islamic author, very, very unassuming. You won't even think that he could even pen a few lines, forget about books. So he was speaking, and he said one very important difference. He pointed out very important difference between the Hindu youngsters and the Muslim youngsters. So what he says is, हिंदू हमेशा सपना देखता है लाखों की, बट हमारे बच्चे हजारों में खुश है. So when a Hindu parents get married, Hindu couples get married, they are looking at giving birth to one, at the most 2 children. Why? Because they're always thinking about sending their children to convents or international schools, renowned colleges and universities, or send them abroad. But when a Muslim couple gets married, they are planning in terms of at what age to stop having kids, 50, 60. So as many kids as they can have. Why? Because they don't have big dreams like sending their kids to international schools. They're happy with madrasa. And what are madrasas doing? They are producing skilled labor for us. Today, if you want a plumbing job, some tap fixed in your place, in your home, you reach out to the urban company. Who they send you? Who are the mechanics that come to end up in your home? Amir, Abdul, Syed. Think of a carpentry work, it's a Muslims. Think of steel fabrication, it's Muslims. Think of a pawn shop, it's Muslims. Butcher shop, it is Muslims. Employment exchanges are full of Muslims and Christians. And skilled labor comes only from Muslims. हमारे दर्जी Muslims हैं. हमारे chefs and cooks are Muslim. So he is very proud he's clearly proud, this Maulana, in saying that हमारे बच्चे हजारों में खुश है और मदरसे उनको इतनी काबिल बना रही है कि वो skilled jobs कर सके. And if you have noticed, these days they are not just skilled at their work. They are excellent people, skilled people. They come even into Hindu homes और दिल जीत के जाते हैं. The way, the finesse with which they handle the jobs is excellent. इतनी clean होती है, and the way they present to you, the way they talk to you politely and all that, I don't think we can match them. Our youngsters can match them because we are not even in that area. So I'm talking about, like, this is a bigger picture that we have to look at. जिस agenda से वो लोग जा रहे हैं, so that is very scary, and it's not just about the demography change. Everything around us has changed. भले ही एक हिंदू majority colony हो, but उसमें जो labor आते हैं, skilled labor आते हैं हमारे घरों में ये maintenance work करने के लिए, they are all from the minority communities. Talk about employment exchanges. Bangalore is the best example, Jerome ji. Employment exchanges are captured by Christians. If you want a nurse or a maid or a caretaker, babysitter to your home, you contact the employment agency. Who turns at your home? Anthony, Mary, Lucy. These are the people that come to work for you. So, and it is mandatory for employment exchanges. If a working class member wants to go and register in the employment exchange, they are clearly saying that you have to convert to Christianity. Only then we will register you. So do you see the big picture? Where are we? So it's not just about demography change is not the only threat to us. Even in places where Hindus are a majority, we are still dependent on these two people. So we need to see what should we do to match up those things. And what we also have to think about is congregations. Where is all this planning going on in both the Christian camp and the Muslim camp? You see, Christians meet once every week mandatorily, so do Muslims. Do Hindus meet? Do we know who is the other devotee that comes to this temple that we go to every week? We don't. So much so that I will give you a small example. I'm working at the Grassroots for this temple revival and building up these congregations and strengthening the Hindu ecosystem. You call it anything, but basically to strengthen the temple ecosystem and form Hindu congregations just like church congregations and Muslim assemblies. So I'm working with this very, very wealthy temple. I love this temple. I love the passion that is there within this temple. And I would love our gods and goddesses to be very rich. I would love this. I love to see wealth in our temples, which used to be one of the biggest, one of the most significant things in our temples always. So this temple, there is a devotee who comes to the temple every single day. In the morning, before going to office, he goes to the temple, does archana, and goes to his office. Now, this person suddenly gets converted to Christianity. Why did it happen? He was in need of surgery. And because he is a Hindu, he doesn't know how to reach out to people. And because the others are also Hindus in that ecosystem, they do not know how to reach out to a fellow Hindu in need. So we were not taught about that. Hinduism is all about self-exploratory and personal sadhana and all that. So we were not taught all this. So they didn't know. And this the church reached out. How did the church come to know that this person has a need? The servant, the maid working in this Hindu's home, who goes to a church, who is a Christian, converted Christian, goes to church, said a word to the pastor, and the pastor immediately came to the rescue of this person, paid for that surgery, and the person is gone. So what we are looking at here is we completely lack that connection with our fellow Hindus. We do not stand for our fellow Hindus. We do not even know that a certain Hindu is in need, and the needy Hindu also does not know how to reach out for help. So the second thing I'm coming to is we need to form into congregations. So whoever is listening to this, I would say go out of your comfort zone, go out into your local communities and see what is happening. The third thing you can do is most of these churches in your neighborhood probably are illegal constructions without permissions. Even if the land is donated, or even if the land is a private land, the permissions required to make a building that big and make it a church, make it into a church, probably those permissions are not there. So there is a strict law against it. You need to go out into your communities and see if these are even legal structures, and you start the process of bringing them down or closing worship there. This is another thing you can think of doing. So I can go on and on the number of things that you can do at the individual level, but I think you get the picture of what I'm trying to say here. So at an individual level, there are several things that we can do while the fight is at the constitutional level. I think we need to buckle up and see what we can do at the individual level and go in that direction. Raviji?
Thank you. I think Saxenaji's question is answered.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll go down.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So I'll go to the next questioner. If the questioner doesn't specifically mention whom the question is, anybody can take it up. Either Jerome ji or Esther ji can take it up. Ajay ji, you can ask the question.
Yeah, thank you, Ravi. So my question was basically from a legal point of view. Unfortunately, we don't have Upadhyay ji in our panel, so I'll just post it. Maybe like Esther ji is a co-petitioner, maybe she could consider my point and evaluate. So, okay, now let me go to my point basically. So, whenever we show some kind of resistance against this conversion, right, either in the form of statute, as we see in Karnataka, or in a judicial process also, right, we see a lot of criticism coming from like inside and outside. Like from we will be particular on the outside, right? Especially we saw the reports coming from United States, right? Antony Blinken and all these people, right? They are citing two things, right? One is religious freedom and human right. So, like I've gone through the PIL many times. The PIL is available in law trends, and I've gone through the PIL by Upadhyay ji. And I thought, like, can we bring in one more point, basically, this human right aspect, right? And the reason why I'm saying is, like, we've seen an interesting speech by Jayashankar, right? We are watching the human rights from our side aspect. I mean, that's okay. That's a more of a geopolitical statement. So basically, my point is, my conviction is basically there is a human right violation involved in this kind of dishonest, deceitful, fraudulent mode of conversion. So I would I'm just trying to bring in the legal aspect there, right? For example, we have Article 21. So Article 21 is perhaps the broadly interpreted article in the Indian Constitution. So if you look at one of the interpretation, right? So the Article 21 says like everyone has a right to live with dignity and pride. And Article 19 to 21, you can claim against not just the state, against private individuals also. Now, suppose as an individual, if suppose somebody comes and says, you are worshipping wrong gods, you are worshipping false gods, right? And it is an attack on my culture, my belief system, right? Basically, it is directly impacting my right to live with dignity and pride, right? If somebody is, doing this, right? So that way, and if you look at Article 29, Article 29 in a sense guarantees you your cultural rights now as a minority, right? So if you interpret it broadly, right? So I, as a let's say tribal community, as a underprivileged community, I have my own rights to protect my cultural rights, right? Now, If I'm
can
fraudulent,
you come to the question? Yeah.
Sure. So if I'm fraudulently converted, right? Again, my cultural rights are violated. That basically, and if you look at 23, there is a right against exploitation that can also be broadly. Basically, I wanted to bring in the human right violation aspect in the fraudulent, deceitful, dishonest conversion, and we wanted to project that human right violation aspect, right? So, so I just wanted to, legal evaluation of this point of view. In fact, that was my basic question. Yeah, thank you. I hope I'm clear.
Jerome ji or Esther ji, whomever want to answer can take it up.
Yeah, I didn't get the question. I think you asked the question and you also answered it. You started with US, external forces resist this our anti-conversion efforts. And you have answered saying that, we have so many articles which provide for the upholding of dignity of a citizen, and then protection of culture and customs, Article 29. So, yes, that is the answer. And like Ashwini ji said, that the Constitution of India is for India and Indians. It is not for foreigners to say what we should ask for and what we should not ask, and what are the changes that we want in our laws. Do we interfere in their amendments, or do we interfere in their policy making? We don't. So just like our external minister said, showed America its place when it tried to interfere in buying oil from Russia. I think the international community should be shown the door, should be shown its place, and be told that you have no business to interfere in our internal matters. And we should definitely look at our articles and throw these articles at them, saying that these provisions have been already made in our articles. Like you just said, Article 29. Similarly, there's Article 46, which actually directs the state to protect the SC/ST community from all forms of social injustice and exploitation. And religious conversion by intimidation and threatening and deception, luring them through gifts and monetary benefits, is definitely taking advantage of their social position, socio-economic position, and exploiting them. So religious conversions clearly violate Article 46. And who is America to even say that you can go ahead and violate your articles in the Constitution at the cost of changing, at the cost of human rights and all those things. So I think the international community, if there is any resistance that they are showing for our internal changes to please to change the laws, then I think it should be shown the door and it should be made to shut up.
Jerome ji, yeah.
Just to add a few more points to the question that was asked. First of all, as per the United Nations mandate, every indigenous culture and race of people need to be protected. We as Indians, Sanatanis, are ourselves indigenous people. So we need to be protected, and conversion by itself, which brings in a change of the whole culture, is itself an intrusion into our indigenous practices. Unfortunately for us, nobody has been vocal at the international forums or at the national forums or at the domestic forums, except a few people like you and I, because there are very few voices which come forward. Now, for example, my biggest question when it comes to conversion is this: right under my nose, I know a lot of conversion happens. I get testimony, I get video testimony of conversion that is happening. Unfortunately, we are all weak. People like us are weak because we are handicapped, because there's nobody to support us. When we go to the police station to lodge a complaint, there's already 10 people, the pastor has brought 10 people, including an MLA or a councillor or a neta there to stand by and threaten us not to lodge a complaint. I have had several cases. Unfortunately, I don't have the machinery. And likewise, Esther Ji also. So we're all lone warriors. We don't have support. There is enough conversion happening. We know it is happening, but unfortunately, we are not there. And that's where people like the who asked questions and or the audience need to come forward and support us. For example, if I have to lodge a complaint in the police station about a conversion happening, an alleged conversion happening, it is a single lone man's effort. There's nobody else. There are people to complain, but people do not want to come forward. So as long as we all don't wake up and come forward and be part of this ecosystem, it's going to be a failing world. Like what he said, we'll die fighting the war. Like what Esther ji initially told, we will go to battle. We are here for battle. The very fact that myself and Esther ji and other people like us, being Christians or ex-Christians, standing up and acting itself, is actually putting a lot of pressure on us. But we are here to put up our faces, put up our heads out. But we need support. That's where we seek your help.
Very clear. I think Ajay's question has been answered, I think.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. In fact, my point was like we just wanted like why fraudulent conversion is a human right violation in turn is what I was trying to say. Thank you. You've answered it.
Thank you, Ajay. Rickji, please go ahead.
Namaste. I just want to have 2 points to be considered. Like it was mostly regarding legal things. We were all talking about legal things about money laundering. One of the major ways of money laundering, new ways, and which facilitates conversion, terrorism we are seeing everywhere, is through darknet and cryptocurrencies. So my first question was, is there any laws or any rules being framed regard to stop this money laundering through cryptocurrencies? First thing. And second thing is that, yes, I totally agree that our religious conversion laws are nonsense, and even those are being opposed very heavily by Prashant Bhushan and other groups. But there are other things also which these conversion racketeers are doing, which is like particularly in Northeast, there are some areas which has 9 to 10 million tons of high-grade uranium. Then very high-grade bituminous coals, Assam, Meghalaya, those areas, Arunachal. So they are encroaching in these areas and preventing government agencies from using this. So is there that an avenue which we can use to stop their progress, like stop preventing the growth of country or preventing mining and development of nation, something like that? If we do not have a Dharmantaran law, that's all. Only these 2 questions.
I am not aware of what laws we have. I think this is a question to maybe Ashwini ji or some other advocate who is well versed in our sections, judiciary sections and articles of the Constitution. I'm not aware of, I'm not the right one to answer this question.
Even Ashwini ji had actually mentioned about actually the banking laws not to be need to be actually reviewed and all. I'm not sure actually whether the cryptocurrencies will come under its preview. But he did mention actually the financial system also need laws to curtail the transfer of money and all that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rickji. The next one is Ichhathari. Go ahead.
Hey, Ravi, thank you. Hey, thank you. The reason I came up was when Jerome ji said that Hindus don't come out for voting and all. But whenever like such statements I hear, like I kind of like get into like a conflict or doubt that at one side Hindus are asked to vote, and I'm not directly putting this question to Jerome ji, but like in a general way that whenever the Hindus are asked to vote and come out in numbers, at the same time when the government comes in, a Hindu finds himself to be dumbfounded. Like, so we are in the 9th year of the so-called Hindu government, and then yet we are hearing and seeing that the culture and the society and then the Hindu religion itself is still in the retreat. So we have one of my uncles, like, he lives in Delhi, and then he complained that like all the government hospitals, and this is about the demographic change, that like they are filled with women of a particular religion giving birth to kids, because the Ayush or that particular scheme that came out is actually helping that particular religion to bear more kids. Similarly, when we see that when Wasim Rizvi makes a popular conversion and then he converts to Hinduism, he's been hounded. Not only he's been hounded, but like people who helped in his conversion were hounded. Similarly, like when we have the 370 removed, we immediately see that the domicile law was enacted so that the demographic change did not happen in Srinagar, and so on and so forth. So when isn't it like my question is that like aren't we asking a Hindu too much to bear on his shoulders at one point to come out and vote as well as also to keep in check locally or at the ground level that like the demographic change doesn't happen, but at the other side what is happening is like the other religions, especially Islam, is being given incentive to actually procreate and to change the demography. Like for example, what happened in Haldwani a few months back, the BJP government was basically sitting idle and to let so that the other side can go to Supreme Court and get a stay order. Similarly, like there are comments that like ek haath mein Quran and ek haath mein laptop. So the Hindu family, like it's been asked to deliver, I think, too much, which we have been delivering, but like we are in the 9th year of the government and still, I mean, we are still in the retreat.
I will take the question. I'll take the question. That's a tragedy. I agree completely. In fact, one of the things that I've been talking about quite strongly is this. It's been 9 years and the textbooks have not changed. Right? The textbooks. What is the point in doing all these policies, and what is the point in doing all this when our educational system is still talking about the Thappers, the Marxist education? So what we need to understand is this. It's the question of a survival. Voting once in 5 years does not end. As Ashwini said very clearly, there are two things what you and I can do. One, come to the streets. Other one is at least use social media to be vocal. This responsibility does not end by voting. How many of you have actually demanded? I feel pained when I see this, I feel pained. I understand that every point, whatever you say, I look at the recipients of those policies and freebies that is being given, whether it is the housing, whether it is the medical services, even the Jan Aushadhis. I am crestfallen. Jan Aushadhis. Who are those people who are running these Jan Aushadhis? Who's questioning them? Has anybody questioned them? It does not. Our duty will not end by just voting. I think we need to mobilize. You cannot say that I voted, resting my confidence on a particular political party. I cannot be more vocal on this because I can be very nasty when it comes to these points. But I need to be limited. I'm sure you all know what is happening, and I think you need to come out. It does not end here. I agree to every point of yours. Whatever you said, much more. And you know what? The best thing is this: Hindus have thought that okay, one political party I voted, they will take care of it. It does not happen in the last 8 to 9 years. So I think it's a wake-up call. You need to either come out or you need to suffer.
Actually, the people should be more demanding. I think like the voting is not the end of actually just choosing a party, but actually, the leaders also should understand actually what they should do for the people and where all these actually their rules and everything is failing, or where it should be more effective. The people should be more vocal about it, and yeah.
Raviji, how many representations have gone to the government regarding this? How many? Tell me, how many representations have gone to your leaders? Like what Ashwini said, how many of you have written? How many have called and said, for example, even today, as we speak now, there are so many unauthorized, these makeshift worship centers which these two Abrahamic religions are indulging in. It's a house, it's a residential house. But there's a particular position right in the middle of your residential house. There is a particular place which is allotted to worship, which is unauthorized. How many of you question it? Nobody questions it. And those people who question are alone. They're loners. So it's time that we all come together, because end of the day, there's only one thing. You can survive. Your children will never survive the next generation. Take it from me. Your children will not survive.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ichadari. for your question. I will go to the next one. And those who would like to actually ask a question, please raise your hand. And the next one is Rudraraju. Rudraraju, you need to unmute your mouth, mic, and ask the question. To unmute, there is a mic button on the right-hand side, bottom of your screen. There is a mic button. I'm telling this because I see that actually you are a new joinee. So the mic button is on the right-hand side, bottom of your screen. Just touch it once and it will be unmuted. Rudraraju, I hope I am audible. To unmute on the right-hand side, bottom side of your screen. Just touch that mic button once. I guess actually that his mic is not getting unmuted. Draju has actually exited the screen. We have Vaishnavi on the screen. Vaishnavi, you can ask your question again. The mic button is on the right-hand side, bottom of your screen. Yes, go ahead.
Namaste to everyone here. So
Yeah,
my
yeah.
question is regarding something about what Esther ji said. So you said
Can you be a bit more louder?
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Right. So, ma'am, you said that most of the Hindus are going forward for higher education, whereas the other religions, they are in these madrasas and they're going into labor. The workers who come to our house and all are usually from the other religions. So, but how can we handle this? Like, we can't stop education just so that we can get into other. I mean, we can connect with other people easily. So, how can we handle this?
So yes, this question did come up. The point that I was trying to make is there are classes in all, regardless of religion. There are different classes. The very educated classes, the less educated classes, the least educated classes, even in the Muslim religion. So I'm sure you have gone to college, university, and these places, and didn't you have Muslim classmates? I'm sure you did. So there are engineers. Today, the corporations are full of Muslims. I mean, at least 20 to 22% of them are working in corporations. But that doesn't mean that the skilled labor, we don't have Muslims in skilled labor jobs. So they are occupying here also, they are occupying there also. So the point I was trying to make is we have our domestic helps children with us, right? So this class is not very much educated. So when we come across communities like that, so we have an opportunity there to send these kids to skilled labor education, like we used to have ITI. I don't see many people going for ITI these days, especially Hindus. Hindu kids don't go to ITI. They might want to, they always want to go to engineering and the upward education groups. So when we come across the least educated or less educated communities around us, so it is for us educated Hindus to direct these children into taking up those classes or those courses, diplomas, and many places we have many of us sitting in this room have even the affordability to educate at least one child like that, besides just our child. And there are so many government schemes, so many scholarships, so many reservations that, certain classes in our community, in our society can avail. So we just have to direct those kids into taking up these jobs, these courses, and then showing them a direction to get into these jobs. I'm not telling that those who have aspirations Those who have ambitions should kill those ambitions and aspirations and downsize themselves or downgrade themselves to go into skilled labor, plumbing and carpentry and masonry and all that. That is not what I was trying to say. There are classes in all religions, and even Muslims are also in well-educated white-collar jobs, but they have not left. They are not always thinking about getting the best education and best jobs. When they cannot afford, they are happy to get into these jobs, and this is where the in fact the Maulana was also saying that we make the ballot. We sway elections, we make the ballot. So the ballot is in our hands. हमारे बच्चे जो आज प्लम्बिंग करे जैसा दिख रहे हैं, कारपेंट्री करे जैसा दिख रहे हैं, they are actually our ballot. So I was just pointing to the agenda they are working with, and we have to learn our lessons from that small video. There is so much to learn, and if you come across in your community people that could not afford convent schools, convent education, if there is a 16-17-year-old child that you see around you, so direct them, sit with them. You'll have to counsel them. It takes more effort than convincing your own child or your own sibling. It takes more effort to convince these people. So direct them towards these diplomas, these courses, and that is how we can at least work towards matching up to their demography. Does that answer your question, Vaishnavi?
Yes.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. We'll go to the last question. RP, go ahead. RP, go ahead.
Namaskar. I'm audible? Yeah, I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Actually, we are discussing regarding the economical attack of these evangelists and all those things. I'm just noticing another thing, that their attack in based of religious, which is doing by, for my point of view, is doing by Hindu religious sadhus or sannyasis, which is like Sriya missions. They are propagating Christmas, and they are telling that Parameshwara, and even one Parameshwara means that is the Jehovah as an Hindi Bible. And another side, they are telling that the Parameshwara is the Shiva and Shiva God, and Sanatana Yeshu. Like that way, the Hindu sadhus are propagating, and it is injecting to our mind that these all are Sanatana, and you can pray with them also. This case, how you are viewing this type of, this an attack or something, some secular mind sannyasis are doing this thing? I have a question like this. Maybe I think you understand. This type of sannyasis are there in North and even in Kerala also. That's why I'm up.
I guess the question is like, when the sadhus are saying every god is the same and you can pray to all of them, aren't they opening doors for these evangelicals and everything to get into and actually do their work? Isn't it? Okay.
No, one more thing. That is, even they are labeling the Yeshu and Jehovah as a Sanatana. That's another thing. The main core is directly they are telling.
Jerome, do you want to take this question?
I will take this question. See, that's the basis of the whole Sanatan Dharma, right? Because we believe that all paths lead to the same super cosmic power. Unfortunately, there is a level of understanding at an elevated thought process. So when you are spiritually elevated, then you can talk about it. But unfortunately, when you speak this to one who does not understand religion, you are definitely opening doors. Because we as a nation, we as a culture have always welcomed every religion. That's why we have the Jews, the Parsis, the Christians, the Muslims, everybody in this nation. Because we said, okay, every path leads. But see, these gurus and those who have these following, they are already elevated, so they can afford to say that, but they cannot afford to say this to the common man, because then what happens is even the common man says that okay, it is okay for me to become an Abrahamic, because still it is the same, but they do not understand the conspiracy behind it. The conspiracy behind it is very clear. Once you go there, then you become an enemy to the whole Sanatan Dharma. That's a fact that is existing, but I myself have been speaking about it, but we cannot. There's nothing much we can do about it.
And there is a Rigvedic mantra, Ekam Satvipra Bahuda Vadanti, but which is being actually now the people who are listening to it should understand actually now who is the Vipra, who is the learned. Where the learned people can say that because actually they know who is learned and who is not, but the commoners cannot differentiate. So, Api, actually, no, I guess that your question is answered. Is there any follow-up for that?
Yeah, actually, my audio is not that much clear. That's why I was silent. But the thing it is, I understand. But there are told. But the thing it is, main issue, if we told like that, and everything, even the Bible, and you are telling the Abrahamic text is also Sanatanic, and whatever it is, somebody will see this type of books and texts from the sannyasi side. So definitely they will go for the pray issue and once or twice, and again, then they will automatically convert it as the directly to the Christianity. I think this is happening in North, even in Kerala also it is happening. Somebody is proposing like this way, and it is creating so much ideological. That means whatever we are trying to do, our ideology or our Sanatana Dharma, they are doing an against of this from inside our ecosystem. Somebody is there from our side to propagate all those things. This feels like me. So how can we prevent that? So
Okay.
are you educated on those things or regarding the Bible ideologies and Abrahamic things? Or Yeshu is Sanatana? I don't know. I am doubt.
So what we all need to understand is this is one of the most common statement that everybody makes. When I meet a Hindu, for that matter, the first thing they say is, we believe all gods are the same. Little do you realize that if you have to believe in Christianity, if you're saying you're a Hindu and then you believe in Christianity also, I'm sorry, until you're baptized, you're not a Christian. Okay, you can believe. That does not help you in any way. Likewise, you need to accept Islam. Until you accept Islam, you cannot say I believe in Islam. So this is a very clear demarcation between the Abrahamic religion and the Sanatan Dharma. That I think, at least at the grassroots level, forget the gurus. If we all teach our own children, for example, we teach our children, oh, all gods are the same, right? But when the same children go to the schools, what do they say? What do these convent schools teach? Your gods are demons. Our God is a real God. So if you can do this, see, you cannot change your guru at that level. But if you can practice at your ground level, at your homes, with your children, with your friends, with the neighboring children, and correct them, I think that is where we need to start. Because it's very strange. Every time somebody meets me, says, "Oh, we believe in Christianity also." My very first question is this: if you believe in Christianity, then you need to baptize yourself. Because if you don't baptize yourself, you don't become a Christian, and you don't have a space in heaven. I think you need to believe that. Each one of us have to do that.
Raviji, I just want to add here. I am positive that this Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti just appeared because some Christian pastor or padri just wanted to bring it up, and he just threw it into the web space just to confuse Hindus. But what Hindus need to realize is every shloka that these Christians use for their benefit, for their conversion agenda, are all incomplete. look at this shloka itself. It actually begins with Indram Varunam Mitram Agnim Mahuratho Divyasa Suparno Garutman. So it's actually an invocation for Indra, Mitra, Varuna, Agni, and Garutman. It is the one with beautiful wings, that is Surya. And then it goes on to say Ekam Satvipra Bahuda Vadanti Agnim Yamam Matriswana Mahuhu. So that means the being is only one. The wise call it in different. They see it. The God is one, the being is one, but the wise see it differently, like as Agni, Yama, Matrishwan. The names are also definitely mentioned there. It doesn't say Yeshu, Yehovah, Allah, and all these things, right? So a lot of times the shlokas are, I'm sure the lay Hindu doesn't even know what is there in their shastras. These shlokas that are taken out of context and incompletely cited by the Christian community. Let me tell you that there are research teams sitting in Christian organizations whose only job is to look in the shastras, Hindu shastras, pick up, cherry pick shlokas and put them out in the web space so that Hindus will catch on to it and they can do their, they can carry on their agenda. The second thing that I think Jerome ji touched upon is forget about gurus, what gurus are saying. We need to learn what is in our shastras and utilize it in our local communities. So that is of, there is no substitute to that. There is no alternative to that other than just sit down and see what is in our shastras. The other thing is Christianity does not like competition. It is an exclusive religion. So the moment you say there are with all my other gods, I can bring in even Yeshu into my puja mandir. No, it doesn't work like that. So you cannot believe Jesus without stopping to believe in your own gods and goddesses. Christianity hates competition, and it has shown to us time and again in history. When Christianity goes, all the others have to be removed. Only then you can officially become a Christian and start believing in Christian. In fact, you can officially start finding favor in the Christian God's sight. Otherwise, he's not even doing any miracles in your life. So these are all the nitty-gritties of Christianity that lay Hindus must understand, the naive lay Hindus must understand. So the shlokas, anytime they see a Christian uttering these shlokas, they need to go back. They don't have to open a big Shastra book and try looking at it. It's all there on the internet. Just go and see what the entire shloka says. So it's a lot of times misleading, and we need to be more well-versed with our own Shastras that the pastors are using.
Just to add, there is one pastor here in Bangalore who's running a very big church, and he has a huge following. This is something that's new, that's coming up, and his propagation is that he was a Hindu Brahmin, and he converted and became a pastor because in the Vedas it talks about Jesus Christ. Can you see how nicely they have just navigated the whole Vedas? First of all, the Vedas are false, are myth, don't exist. This is what the whole Abrahamic faith says. But then to lure what you call an innocent Hindu, this particular person who's a pastor who's running one of the biggest churches in Bangalore, what he says is this. He says that why he converted as a Brahmin, why he converted to Christianity and why he's running a church is this, because even in the Vedas, it says that Jesus is mentioned in the Vedas. So on one side, they rubbish the Vedas and the Upanishads and the whole Hindu scriptures. On the other side, you cherry pick up these things and throw it as morsel to the Hindus, and they lap it up without even knowing or even checking if such a thing exists. So the biggest thing is lack of knowledge. Where this is where the the Abrahamic faith has an edge over the Hindus because almost all Christians and Muslims read their scriptures, whereas the Hindus don't even know if there's something called a scripture.
Absolutely, and that reminds me, there is a before actually Esther was mentioning about the elephant whisperers. They see God in everything and all that, and actually that corresponds with the Ishavasi Upanishad, the Ishavasimidam Sarvam, Jagatyam Jagat, all that. On the same context actually that Jerome ji has said, there are people who interpret Ishavasimidam is Isa Vasimidam, like Jesus is in everything. So that can be easily misinterpreted and all that. So that actually we hear that actually from multiple accounts that actually how they have changed the pronunciation and everything, and they manipulate them. So I will ask the last question and we will wind it up. With the PILs coming up with this deceitful conversion and all those things, how do we tackle the menace of crypto Christians or crypto Muslims with this? I'm just asking out of curiosity. Anybody can take it up.
Jerome ji.
I would say there are only crypto Christians, because
No crypto Muslims.
there are only crypto Christians. Sorry, there are only crypto Christians. There are no crypto Muslims. Muslims are very open because the very fact that if you cannot accept your faith, you're not part of the faith, and there's a good ecosystem that supports your very own vegetable vendor who's on the road, who's coming to sell you. He gets pre-financed. He gets financed by his own people. So, but from the crypto Christians is where they are very, very camouflaged. They don't tell you, and you will be surprised that unless you ask them, or unless you know, unless you know that they are also following Christianity, you will not know it. This is going to be a challenge because the ones who target are those who are the lowest strata. The ones who live in bastis, the slums are the ones who are because it is more for exchange of money. They get an allowance. There are churches that are being built in all these bastis. They get an allowance, including there are also the vote banks. I hope you understand. There are also vote banks. So they will move towards where the money comes, and that's where we all need to come. We all need to educate them. We all need to guide them, protect them, safeguard them from these soul vultures. Small things, for example, school admissions, helping them get jobs, because they don't have the community support. Unlike both the Abrahamic communities have excellent community support, because you only need to say, I have a problem, and there'll be somebody who's there to help you, or somebody who's there to tell you where to find help. To derive all the governmental policies, the ones who are all extracting all these benefits from schemes from the government it's both the Abrahamic, because they have dedicated people who are there to help them derive all this. So it's going to be a challenge. It's not as easy as what we speak, because there are a lot of underlying issues like economic structure, because they would rather be a crypto Christian and derive all the benefits, which is the bread and butter, right? The bread and butter. So I'm sure Esther ji also is doing an amazing job. She is trying to bringing the congregation kind of culture. It is going to be a Herculean task because I know I'm sure there will be opposition, because somebody would say that you can't mimic the Abrahamic. But my philosophy, even in the corporate life, has been that when you find something very good that's happening, cut, copy, paste, and practice it. So I think that's what we need to do. There should be a congregation, resurrect the temple structure, the temple philosophy, because that's where all the whole ecosystem is built. Whether it's education, whether it's economy, discussion, dialogue, everything happens there. That needs to be done, but that needs a lot of effort, because currently there are very few people who are working on it. And I'm sure forums like this, where we discuss and put forward our points, is where I hope at least a certain percentage of people pick this up and start imbibing this in their own families and in their societies.
Absolutely. Just remembered actually a small story. Actually, Swami Chidanandavudi used to say that he has heard actually in the rural areas of Kerala and all, where tribal peoples are there. When the evangelicals went over there, they first actually they put their crosses along with their deities and all, And later they will say that actually we will see who is more powerful. So they will put all these deities and the crosses into the water, and the wooden cross will float and the rest of them will fall down. So they say, okay, your deities are not powerful enough. So this was heard by a Swami, and actually he said, in Hinduism, it is not Jalapariksha, it is Agni Parisha. You should test it with the fire to test it. So rationale actually has to be there, and like, people should get actually more learned and to see these deceptions and all. End of the day, actually, like Jerome ji said, we should learn our scriptures and educate ourselves and become more rational people and see these deceitful actions and all. I hope actually this session was interesting for you both. I know Jerome ji was in the clubhouse for the first time.
Yes, absolutely. I enjoyed every minute of this program. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Raviji, I just want to say a few things just to add to what Jerome ji said. So yesterday I was at this event and somebody asked me, why don't Christians go out into the Muslim bastis and convert them? So Jerome ji answered that also by saying that their ecosystem is very strong. There are needy Muslims. There are more needy Muslims than there are needy Hindus, I would say. But the needy Muslim does not have to come out of his community to get help. Whereas, because the ecosystem is very strong and the outside community does not even know, the non-Muslim community does not even know the needs of a needy Muslim. So it doesn't come out. That's what I'm trying to say here. So Hindus, like all human beings, have the needs, but their needs are not being fulfilled within their community by their own community, which is why they have become prey to the soul vultures, because they come and offer the remedies. Even if they are not long lasting, they still offer them, give them the timely help, and that's how we are losing our people. The second thing is, yes, building the Hindu congregational system, Hindu ecosystem, organizing Hindus is being opposed by Hindus themselves. They say that Hinduism is not organization. Well, I object to that statement, because if you see our Shastras, if you see our temple structure, first the temple got erected and then the society forms around it, the community forms around it. Our mathematics, economics, all our Shastras came out of temples, Gurukulams. Temples used to have a university attached to them, which is the education system. Ayurveda facilities used to be attached with the temple system, which is the health system. And Natya Shastra, our arts and culture, arts and drama, everything, music, dance, drama, everything was came out of temple. So how can somebody sit today in 2023 and say that Hinduism was not an organized religion? I would say whatever the organization the church has today was taken from the organization of the temples. So we have such beautiful structures of economy, administration, bureaucracy, governance, warfare. So all these things came without organization. All these things came without a structure. I mean, what are the Hindus even trying to say? Whenever I talk about organizing Hindus, they say Hinduism is not about organized. They're only looking at the negative side of it. Organized religion matlab conversions. Organized religion matlab terrorism. No. Organized religion or organizing a community. First of all, this is not religion. Organizing a community has other benefits also. And Hinduism was very much had an organized structure. Otherwise, we would not have been existing today, even after thousands of years of invasions. And we need to go back to that organization.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just one. Sorry, I'll take 30 seconds of yours. Esther ji, I just wanted to add something. I would rather say what you didn't say is what I wanted to say. How many audience do we have, if I may ask? How many people are there?
We still have about actually 45 people here. We had about 400 plus people listening.
So just for the information of everybody, why does the Christian missionary not attempt to convert or speak to a Muslim is this. One is the economy, that's a different thing. But then he fears for his life. He knows very well, if ever he tries converting a Muslim, he will have his neck in his hand. That's the principal rule. They cannot afford. On the flip side, the Hindus are the lame ducks who are easy to fall trap. So a Christian missionary will
Yes.
never tempt a Muslim because he fears his life. He's scared of his life. He'll never attempt. He will swear by the Bible saying that he wants to go and convert the whole world, spread Jesus, Christianity, everything. But then he'll never try to the Muslim because he knows very well if he tries, his neck will be in his hands.
Very true, very true. Before we wind up, actually, Vidya ji, anything to add?
I just wanted to thank you all. You've taken so much of time, so much of effort. It was such a pleasure listening to each of you. We are really, really honored. And there are a lot of requests coming in that we have this recording as soon as possible on YouTube. So that's, a lot of gratitude to all three of you today. And we are hoping we can have more sessions also.
Absolutely. I mean, Vidya ji took my words, so...
Go
But
ahead.
it's been a pleasure to have you, both of you here, even Ashwini ji also before. And we are proud of you to host all of you. And actually, this session has been wonderful, and a lot of takeaways in this, a lot of points to be added, a lot of out-of-box thinking came up. And we actually, we wish all the best with your efforts, and we'll also take part in whatever possible ways we could. And we wish all the success. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having us, Raviji. Thank you so much, Vidya ji,
Thank you
for hosting us.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Vidya ji. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Thank you so much. Jerome ji, Esther ji.
Yeah. Satyameva Jayate.
Satyameva.
Satyameva Jayate.